Look who's back! Hello everybody, my name is Kara, and today I'm here with my birthday book haul. So I got a few books as gifts for my birthday, and then I had a gift card, and then I had a treat yourself day that went a little bit out of hand. So I have quite a few books to show you, some of them from April, my birth month, and I think a few March books as well. So first I have Tom's Midnight Garden by Philippa Pierce. This is apparently the 60th anniversary edition. So this is a classic children's fantasy type story. Reminds me a little bit of The Secret Garden, so I'm pretty excited about it. And I've just heard such amazing things about this book. I think it's going to be a really magical middle grade sort of adventure story with just a little bit of magic, and I think there's time travel or something as well. Next I have Ice Wolves by Amy Kaufman, and this is the first book in the Elementals series. This is a pretty new release, I think, and I am really excited about this. I really enjoy Amy Kaufman's co-written books, but I think this is her first book she's written by herself, or at least it's the first one I've heard of, and it sounds really amazing. There are ice wolves and scorched dragons, and according to the synopsis, these two do not mix, and then one day Anders and his twin sister take the opposite forms, these forms that are supposed to be bitter enemies, and the adventure kind of goes from there. This is supposed to have a lot of great action and characters and some amazing friendships. I am really looking forward to this one as well. Next I have possibly the weirdest edition of any book I have ever seen, and that is The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim. This is a classic, and it looks like a school workbook. It's this like weird floppy paperback, and I don't understand why they did this edition, but I ordered it online, which is why I couldn't really see how odd this was. But I'm still looking forward to reading the book. Maybe I'll love this format. But this is a classic story about a group of women who I think stay in Italy for a while, and how that affects their lives, and it kind of leads them to make some decisions about things that have been making them unhappy, I think. And I've just heard really amazing things. It sounds like a very quiet and character-focused kind of story, and I tend to love things like that, so I'm really looking forward to this. I guess I can stop saying that. You can pretty much assume I'm looking forward to all of these, or I wouldn't have gotten them. It's just something you say in book hauls, you know? Next, I have the absolutely stunning 80th anniversary edition of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. My mom surprised me with this. I had no idea she was getting it for me. It was so wonderful because I had mentioned how pretty this edition was, but I hadn't, like, said I wanted it. It was just kind of an offhand comment, and she knew that my other edition was getting really old and I was afraid it was going to fall apart. So she got me this one, and it's one of the prettiest books I own. It's got this beautiful raised like lace detail, and all the writing on it is gold. And I have read Rebecca before and I really enjoyed it, and I've actually been meaning to reread it soon, so this is the perfect opportunity. I love this copy so much. It's even prettier in person. You can't really tell on the screen as much, but it's beautiful. The next book I picked up was Sunshine by Robin McKinley, and I have actually already read this one, and I loved it. I'll talk more about it in my wrap-up, but I adored this book so much. This was a recommendation from Misty, from Book Rat Misty, in her like backlist love recommendations video. And this is a book mainly about vampires. It's sort of this weird borderline genre between post-apocalyptic and fantasy, like urban fantasy. I don't necessarily gravitate towards books with vampires in them, like it's not something I make a point to seek out or avoid, but I loved the way they were used in this book, and I loved the characters, and I don't know why I'm basically reviewing this book now, because I should just be telling you I got it. This was my first Robin McKinley book, and I don't think it's going to be my last. Next I have I Am Malala, The Girl Who Stood Up for Education and Was Shot by the Taliban by Malala Yousafzai with Christina Lamb. This is a nonfiction, I guess, autobiography about Malala's life and the events leading up to her being targeted and shot by the Taliban, and her recovery and her activism on behalf of women in education. Malala is an incredible human being. She has won the Nobel Peace Prize and so many other well-deserved awards for her work. I just think this is going to be a really powerful book, and I think it's time that I read it. Next, I have Blood, Water, Paint by Joy McCullough, and this is another book I have actually already read. I have a full review on it, which I will link down below, but this is another one that I loved. I have said this a couple of times now, but this is pretty much my favorite book of the year at this point, so highly recommend it. It is based on the true story of Artemisia Gentileschi, a Baroque Italian painter who unfortunately is better known for her horrible rape by her tutor and her subsequent court battle to get justice than for her own incredible talents. But I think this is an incredible book, and Artemisia Gentileschi is a historical figure who is definitely worth looking up because her life and her accomplishments are just awe-inspiring. And the strength that she had, I'm in awe of her as a person, and I'm so glad I read this book. Also, the cover is really beautiful, and it's been treated or something so that it actually feels like canvas, like painter's canvas, and I really, really like the presentation of this book as well. Next, I have Deathless by Catherine M. Valente, and I don't know too much about this one except that it's a very dark fairy tale story inspired by Russian mythology or Russian folklore, especially the myth of the Firebird, I think, and it's very polarizing. It's definitely like a very odd kind of book, but I tend to have really great luck with odd fantasy books, and I recently read the Grisha trilogy and it wasn't quite what I was looking for from that Russian setting, and I've heard that this one, even people who don't like it, I've heard that they love, the setting is really well done. So I am really intrigued to get into this one. I read a couple pages of it and I think I'm really gonna like the writing style. Next, I have Mara, Daughter of the Nile by Eloise Jarvis McGraw. This is another book that I read a while ago, and it's historical fiction set in Egypt, which I love, and I had gotten it from the library and I really enjoyed it. And I had been thinking recently that I was kind of in the mood to reread it at some point, so I was like, oh, I guess I'll check it out from the library again. And then I was in the bookstore and I saw they had just released this shiny new paperback edition with gold lettering and everything. And I liked this edition. It wasn't very expensive, and I thought this was the perfect way to have this book so that I can reread it whenever I want to, because I'm thinking it's going to be one that I periodically want to come back to. Next, I have Given to the Sea by Mindy McGinnis. This is a fantasy story, again, big surprise. And the main character has basically been raised as a sacrifice. So her royal line, all of the women eventually have to sacrifice themselves to the sea so that their kingdom doesn't flood and everyone doesn't die, basically. And I have heard almost exclusively negative reviews about this book, but I feel like I'm going to like it because I tend to like this sort of water-based or water-adjacent fantasy. It kind of reminds me of the Stravaganza series in some ways, which I really love. I talk about that quite a lot. It's by Mary Hoffman, I think, and I don't know. I hope I like it more than a lot of other people seem to. Now we're into the treat yourself part of this haul, which was from Book Depository, where I basically ordered way too many books because they were inexpensive. They were gorgeous editions, they were books I've been wanting to read for a long time, and it was my birthday. So, you know, why not? So first I have The Apprentice Witch by James Nichol. This is a recommendation from Laura's channel, Bookie Laura, which I will link down below. I love her middle grade recommendations. I love her channel in general, but I really trust her opinion about middle grade stories. And this sounds like something right up my alley because it's about a girl who is not a very good witch, and not like she's evil. She's just bad at what she does. So she gets apprenticed rather than becoming a witch in her own right, and she has to kind of figure out how she's going to develop her powers, and I'm sure there is some kind of disaster along the way where she has to team up with people, and I just think this is going to be a wonderful book. Also, this is so cool. On the back it says, try it, read page 55. So you go to page 55 and you can read that and get a feel for the story and the writing style without being spoiled. They pick a page that you can read and get a feel for the book without ruining something that's going to happen, which I think is amazing. And it says, this book in 3 words: courage, friendship, enchantment. Yes to all of those. I wish more books did this. If you guys live in the UK, could you comment down below and let me know if a lot of books do this, or is this just a really cool edition or something? Because I have never seen a book in America that did that. Next, I have Guards, Guards by Terry Pratchett. This is one of the books in the Discworld series. I am currently in the middle of the Tiffany Aching sub-series, and I am loving it. Oh my god. And I really wanted to start reading some of the other kind of, I guess, series in the Discworld universe, and I think this is going to be a good one to start. That's what I've heard from people. My cat has joined us, and I'm really excited. I'm loving Terry Pratchett so far, and I think this is supposed to be, I think this is like one of people's favorite novels from him, so looking forward to it. Next, I have A Skinful of Shadows by Frances Hardinge, my favorite author, as you guys know, because I never shut up about her. I will link my full review and like discussion of all her books down below, because I think everyone should read her. This is her most recent novel, and it's about a girl, and I think there's like spirits or something involved. It sounds a little creepier than I usually like to read, but I trust Frances Hardinge, so I'm sure this is going to be fantastic, and I'm so excited to have a new book of hers. I mean, it's been out for a while, but I've been like putting off buying it because I didn't want to like run out of books to read from her. But I love this cover so much too. I don't like the American hardcover at all, which is unsurprising. I usually like the UK paperbacks. Speaking of beautiful UK paperbacks, I have Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. This is a very popular science fiction series at the moment, and it's about a giant robot hand that like a girl discovers, and that's really all I know. I hear from people that it's best to go in not knowing too much about this one, and I'm really excited. And look at this stunning cover with like the constellations, and it's like holographic, like it's shiny. Just UK paperbacks just knock it out of the park every time. I love them. Next, I have the first two books in the Spinsters Club trilogy, Am I Normal Yet? And How Hard Can Love Be by Holly Bourne. Look at those bright spines too. And I'm so excited about these. Jane from It's Jane Lindsay recommends these books constantly on her channel, and I will link her down below, and it just sounds amazing. Basically, it's a group of friends who are all girls, and they form a feminist club because they are sick of all the sexism at their school. And each book follows a different girl in the friend group, and I've just heard such amazing things. I'm really, really looking forward to getting to these because, like, feminism and female friendship and just what more can you want from a book, you know? Next, I have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I finally gave in and bought this book, even though I was kind of planning to wait until the second one came out so I didn't have a long wait period. But I gave in because I've been hearing amazing things, and I don't want to get spoiled for this book, and I feel like as time goes on it's more and more likely I'm going to get spoiled for something. Now, strangely enough, this is not the cover I ordered. I ordered like the royal blue, like the dark blue, like UK edition one. I didn't even know this was a cover option. I did not see it anywhere. I mean, I'm not too bothered. It's paperback and it's the book I wanted, which is like the important thing, and I do like this cover, but it was kind of funny. I'm not actually going to give you a synopsis for this one because I don't know too much about it, and I want to keep it that way, so I'm not gonna like look up reviews or like the back of the book or anything, but I know there's a lost city involved and a librarian, so that sounds pretty cool. And I think Laini Taylor is an incredibly talented author, so I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy this. Next, I have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and this is another one I don't really need to explain because it's very popular. It's been all over BookTube, and I want to read it again before I get spoiled, and also just because I'm really excited about this. It's a fantasy that takes inspiration from African cultures, which is not something we get nearly enough of, and I am really looking forward to this. I've heard such amazing things, and I'm so excited. Next, I have And I Darken by Kirsten White, and this is a female-led kind of version of the Vlad the Impaler story, and I'm just so ready because I want more female anti-heroes, and Lotta definitely sounds like she is one. I've heard this book is so brutal, so political, and I am just really, really excited about this. Liv from Read by Liv and also Katie from Katie's BookTube, they both talk about these books quite a bit. Oh, so does Allie from Allie and Books. I will link all of them down below. But they make the series sound so good, and I've been meaning to pick it up for a while, and now I finally can. And finally, we're at the very end here, I have 3 books from Diana Wynne Jones. The Game, Castle in the Air, and House of Many Ways. Now, I don't know too much about The Game, except that it's very short, and it involves a girl who gets involved with a group of friends, and they play this strange game that takes place in another world or another dimension, I think. It's Diana Wynne Jones, so I'm sure it's going to be very complex, very engaging, and I'm really excited about it. And then these 2 books, Castle in the Air and House of Many Ways, are companion sequels, I think, to Howl's Moving Castle. Now, I had, for the longest time, I wasn't going to read these because I loved Howl's Moving Castle so much, and I didn't really want to know what happened to the characters afterwards. Like, I don't tend to like epilogues, and I know that the characters show up later in these books, I'd actually be fine if these were like completely separate from the story. But I finally gave in because I love Diana Wynne Jones and I didn't want to just not read two of her books. And I also think that because I read Howl's Moving Castle like pretty late, like I didn't grow up with it as a kid, if I don't like these books, I think I'll still be able to separate them from my love for Howl's Moving Castle. We'll see. But let me know if you guys enjoy these, because there's like some pretty mixed opinions on these two books, I think. Okay, everybody, so that was my birthday slash March, April, lots of different things kind of book haul. It's a lot, but you know what? It was my birthday, so I don't feel too bad about it. I mean, I don't need to justify myself. Like, we all know that people buy and read books at different paces. It's all good. It's all fine. Please let me know in the comments if you guys have read any of these books, what you thought of them, and let me know a book that you just picked up that you're excited to get to, or just something that you want to read soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!